You're watching TVC Breakfast. The people of Anambra State have elected a new governor that will pilot the affairs of the state in the next 4 years. And that is the person of Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo. Though the governor-elect has promised to carry everyone along and work for the good of his people, attention is on how he will stem the tide of insecurity in Anambra State and restore peace. Another issue Anambrarians will want Mr. Soludo to tackle is that of IPOB. Its present sit-at-home orders and the effects on the economy of the state. That is what we'll be talking about. So joining me now is the Executive Director, Executive News Editor, TVC News, Uzona Ononye. He is here to help us make sense of this. He was on ground throughout the election in Anambra State. Nice to have you join me.
Same here.
Great. And I'm keeping Dari for this discussion too.
It's a pleasure. Great.
Now, Uzona, let me start with you here. You were on ground. You saw, how people responded. And in fact, as a build-up to the election, there were lots of anxiety and uncertainty and all of that. Talk to us basically from what you saw. How did all that just douse? And we had one of the most peaceful elections in Anambra State.
The anxiety in Anambra State, albeit the entire southeast, is hinged on insecurity, the violence that is being meted out by some elements that no one has been able to properly identify, hence they're referred to as unknown gunmen. But majority of the people were ready to vote. That's what happened, that's what played out on the day of the election after the "we are not voting" directive was withdrawn by the group just few days to the election, and people turned out the way they did. The issue there is beyond the election, because in 2017 when Anambra voted, prepared for their own election, there was a similar no vote, we are not voting, situation until the election came, and then stakeholders got involved, negotiated, quote and unquote, by reaching out to people, and then election came and went, and then again another election. I think that the group or the groups, because that's what it is now, the whole thing had been decentralized, that there's a group that will say we have cancelled sit at home, and others will go around threatening communities that if you don't sit at home, we'll come for you.
So it creates a perception of factionalization within the system.
That's it. So the entire groups think that when they speak during the election, they get the attention they require, or they feel they need. And that's what they have used the election to do. But the way this election played out should be a thing that would concern authorities to know that there is a majority. There is a majority that have a different mindset, that are not part of the aggression, and then seek ways of addressing their needs instead of coming with that, neglecting the carrot and sticking with the stick all the time that we see. That's just the way I think the election in Anambra State played out.
Okay. Now, Dari, I know you monitored the elections too. You followed, every breath of how things were unfolding in Anambra State. And when it comes to the turnout of people, we still see that just about 112,000, roughly 112,000 people in a state of so many millions elected the governor. It still tells that we have still a high percentage of apathy one way or the other.
That's the pattern in Anambra over the years. When people trying to say, irrespective of the withdrawal of the sit-at-home, that things didn't stay, I say no. If you go check the voting
trends,
one state where voters' apathy has been rife over the years is Anambra State, for reasons best known to them. It's a state that is not known to have been voting. But so many takeaways from this year's election. If you now put the figure we got this year beside what we've been having, and you consider the noise, the threat that preceded this election, you will realize that, like Ozona said, the people's perception differs from what we outsiders, I want to say now, are really seeing. Yes, there is a small percentage of people, very small, saying we are agitating, we are annoyed, we just don't want to have anything to do with the country, we want secession. And then the larger percentage of the people have told us in clear languages that, look, if you talk to us in the right way, if you approach these issues in the right manner, we are open to discussion on how we can live together. That is one big message from Anambra. Another thing from this Anambra election, I monitored, followed, and was on ground for some time, is the fact that we cannot continue to talk about unknown government. If a group gives directive, or groups, and the people showed all signs by Friday across Anambra, and by Thursday, Friday, there were signs that the people were going to comply. Nobody was going to come out to vote. Thursday, Friday. Then the group or group says, okay, all correct. And then people came out. Then we know who these people are. We know who these people calling the shots, we know them. We should now begin to think of how do we want to dialogue with them. If we continue to hide under the guise of they are faceless, dialoguing with them will be difficult. Let us confront our evil. We know you. And either government or we, the people, must no longer pretend that we don't know what the issues are. We know the issues.
But the point there is, Dari, the moment there is an issue of dialogue where let us sit on the table.
Yes.
There must be a give, there must be a take.
That's what I'm talking about.
And the point there is, where there is going to be conditionalities, as in you need to meet this. Even if I give you a list of 10 things to say, okay, you must not meet less than 4 or 5 for us to say, okay, let things move normal. Yes. Do you think that is part of what...
It is part of dialogue. You see, maybe you don't want to use the words. I'll do. We want secession. And we say, no, we don't want secession. The situations are clear. But don't you think that there are things I will offer you that will make you forget about secession? I can offer you, we can live together better. You ask me how, and I'll say, okay, you are angry about this, we'll remove it. You are angry about this, we'll remove it. You demanded for this. Yes, we can provide this, but this, no, this, no. And we could have a way, a middle way, okay, because you are making living together look better, then we will forget about going away until we address those issues. Another election showed us that all of us, no matter how tough the situation is, we can still talk together. We can still sit down and iron things out. Let's build on it. Right. We can really build on it.
It's okay. Now, Uzonna, when you spoke to a lot of people, you engaged a lot of people in Anambra State, what were the issues that people were, because there were about 18 political parties, although we had about 2, 3 or 4 major, comparative to all of them. But what were the issues that determined how people voted for this party and not that party and so on? What were the issues driving the voting pattern?
First of all, a political party had been in power in Anambra State for about close to 16 years now, and they have not done so badly. Yes, if we put the activities on the table and measure it objectively, there are areas that they have performed woefully. But relatively to other states around, they have not done so badly. So it will be difficult for anyone to assume or think that you walk into an election and throw them away. So that's a major factor that played a role here. Then again, while other candidates were scared and hiding, and some campaigning in Lagos, a particular candidate continued to campaign and speak to the people. And at the end of the election, the results showed they were moving, that party, they were moving from one community to another, even when their campaign were attacked. I mean, the campaign grounds were attacked and all of that. That didn't deter them. They continued moving. But other candidates, some didn't even start campaign until 3 weeks to the election. Some were campaigning in Lagos, in Alaba Market here and Trade Fair and all of that in Lagos for an election that is holding in Anambra. So these are factors that had played out. Then the quality and the credibility of the candidates were also measured. Some of the candidates were no for the people, not minding the political party they write on. They were no. So who the candidates are were also part of the things that people considered even while voting. And so
some considered the candidate, others considered the party.
Yes, to a large extent, yes. Well, a party may have benefited because of the outright rejection of this candidate. We can't stand with him. And so when a candidate is knocked off, it reduces the options.
Exactly.
So those ones that are left now took the advantage of that, and so that's what we saw in that election.
I see. All right, now let's talk about way forward now. Of course, in about a few months, Professor Chukwuma Soludo will be sworn in as governor. He's now governor-elect. What are the issues that he has to confront going forward, knowing that Anambra is a very peculiar state in so many respects? If you take the business people, for instance, Nnewi, like we have always said, is a small city that has the highest concentration of billionaires, people who are little mini governments in themselves, if you put it that way, if you want to put it that way. They provide things for themselves. They don't need anybody else, and so on. But how will Governor Soludo, when he is sworn in, take it up from there to translate this to the benefit of the people?
Largely, he's going to have to look at security. Security in the last couple of years have done severe damage to the traditional life of Anambra. Anambra, across apart from being an eastern state, where trading is peculiar. Anambra people are also peculiar as people who do trade, but majorly even around them, they are not the type that wants to leave and go far away to trade. They can create trade from anything within and outside the state. That's why you find the states like, places like Nnewi, Onitsha. We are trading in anything, tribes. They create trade. But the insecurity of the past couple of years, have threatened this lifestyle of the people. It has taken away the livelihood of many, and youth restlessness is gradually taking over, where people's businesses fail due to bad policies of government, lack of infrastructure, and other reasons. When people, young men, this is a state with the tradition of you learn trade, we set you up, you run your own thing. If such trade
and you know that the Harvard University has adopted that as an economic system.
Yes. If we now find the trade or business of these young ones failing after they've been set up due to insecurity, but it encourages a number of youths now adding to the army of youths roaming the streets and creating more problems of insecurity. We have a situation whereby insecurity creates more insecurity. That is one major thing he will have to tackle. I don't know, he's an economist, he's governed over the apex bank in the country, he's worked with some international organizations. I am sure he's going to sit down with his team and create a way of addressing insecurity with a view to reducing the number of idle youths in Anambra. It's on during my last visit to Oka, the city was no longer looking like what it used to be. I was there some 7 years ago before my last visit.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and you could, that ambience, you see business beside enjoyment, business beside relaxation. That's one city where the two, go, but it's no longer the same. You now find people on the street that tells you the real situation now, the unhappiness, the worry, the anxiety is written on the face of the average Anambra youth now because of the changing times. Governor Soludo, when he comes in, must address that. On the other side is the issue of outside security, is the issue of IPOB, it's also security. The same way, you see, I don't know, but I give kudos to Obiano in handling this IPOB issue, especially towards the election. And it also aided the victory of his party. He was able to, when it seems that all was lost, he was able to rally the elders within and outside the state to that, look, we must make our people understand why we should vote. He left the campaign at a point and concentrated on ensuring that the election will hold. Soludo must come in, continue this culture of dialogue. Federal government will want to use whatever force, but the state government will play a big role. Whatever he decides to do will play a big role in how the issue of IPOB and other groups will be handled.
All right. Now, Uzana, the point there is a lot of persons will say that, well, the state is set because Anambra is an economy of itself, and then you find an economist, a professional for that matter, and all of that, who has risen to the highest level of, being the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, being the governor, when he's sworn in. How easy would it be for him going forward, knowing that, okay, fine, I'm an economist, I work with the economy, and then here is my state?
Professor Soludo will be making a very big mistake assuming office with that mindset of an established economist. Because here is not just the Central Bank of Nigeria, where policies are purely economical. This is where political economy will also come in. Yeah. And his ability to manage the politics will determine to a large extent how his economic policies will succeed. And he would come in first to make the people understand that they owe nobody any apology to be themselves. And they owe themselves that responsibility of protecting themselves. With about 11 million people living in a 4.8 thousand square kilometers, sorry. That suggests that the place is highly densely populated. Now you have a population that he will need to reach out first of all to know that we are responsible for who we are and not the federal government. What I found out with my interaction with the people is that a lot of people believe that everything bad in the system within Anambra State is caused by the federal government. No. There have been successive governments, state governors in Anambra State. All of them are from Anambra State. They know their family compound, they know where they come from and all of that. And they have always received their own allocation, which they are supposed to have used to develop the state. Yes, they did things that could be identified. So let there be less attention on what the federal government would do, and then more on what the people can do for themselves. There will be a huge political challenge for the governor as he assumes office. The House of Assembly was dominated by APGA, his own political party. But towards the election, there was a huge migration of people from APGA into another political party. So right now, on a balance, the House of Assembly will be majorly led by, populated more by people on the opposition. Yes, we know that politicians in Nigeria have, they don't have too much relationship with honor, all right? So it will be easy for many of them to begin to find their way back. Back to default. The meal or the other, the meal ticket there are spoiled. So let's go back to where we began.
So it's a meal ticket, eh?
So that's part of the challenges that he will have to confront to build a political structure yes, not just inherit a political structure, but build his own political structure that will aid his economic policies to thrive.
All right, we have to leave it here now. As the days roll by, things will take shape, and we'll begin to see some of these things. Uzana, thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
Dario Deforkan, thank you very much for coming. I'm not letting you go yet.